Look at this fancy AI automation setup. You don't need that. It's overcomplicated, bloated, and fragile. The truth, there is an easier and far more powerful way to get insane results with AI. No code, no automation tools, no technical complexity. And no, it's not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is fine if you enjoy spending hours prompting it and still getting half useful answers. There is a better solution: custom GPTs. But let's be honest, most custom GPTs suck. I've tested hundreds, 99% are fluff machines, pure garbage. But when they're built correctly, custom GPTs become your AI-powered team, generating content, crafting email sequence, writing your sales page, and many more stuff. I've spent more than 4,000 hours building custom GPTs for myself and my customers. Today, I'm sharing with you my 7 best proven secrets to craft custom GPTs that actually work. So now, let's dive in. Let's start with the real reason most GPTs are garbage. And we could say that you cannot outsource mastery to an AI. That's the big principle. Think of the real expertise you have about whatever task you want a GPT to do as the fuel, and the GPT is the engine. So the secret number 1, start with real expertise. If you want to craft a custom GPT, you'd better know how to do the task you want the GPT to do the right way. You need to know what good looks like, because the GPT will mirror the quality of what you put inside of it, like system prompts and knowledge base. Okay, and if the knowledge is surface level, like in most cases ChatGPT surface level of knowledge, the output won't be great. So you must understand deeply what it requires to do the task at a superior level if you want the GPT to be able to do this and to amplify this. Okay, so ask yourself, can I teach this to a human? Do I know about this task? Do I know what are the steps, etc.? Okay, and that's the best way to transfer that to the GPT as knowledge and then get superior results, for sure. So for instance, when I craft the Almozy VSL GPT, first and foremost, I've studied Almozy's VSL. I've checked also the workshop we did about VSL, extracted the principle, crafted them, test them on myself, crafting GPTs following them, and then I've compacted that into a GPT that can do this process. Same for the offer building. I've read the book, I've applied the book, I've studied the book, I've read several times, I've taken notes about the books, and I modelized what I understood about it, and I transfer that to the GPT, and that's why the GPT is good and can craft an offer using the Almozy framework. And every GPT I craft, basically, I think deeply about, okay, what kind of knowledge do we need to do this at a superior level? What is my experience with that? And how can I package that so that the LLM can do it? And so you can see that everything starts with the expertise. Can you rely on GPT, ChatGPT, or AI to give you the expertise? It's very difficult to answer that. For very simple tasks, most likely. But for more complex or advanced tasks, I wouldn't trust it. Why? Because how can you tell if what ChatGPT gives you as knowledge or as way of doing any given task is the right way? You cannot if you don't have the expertise. Okay, so that's the limitation here. Even if you have the expertise, most GPTs still collapse. And why is that? Because most GPTs I've tested, not mine, but most GPTs I've tested, they tend to explain instead of execute. Surface level GPTs will give you advice. They will give you what you should do. They will give you plan. They will give you lots of text you have to read to try to figure out what needs to be done without doing it. But elite GPTs, they do the work at the right level of quality. And the difference comes down to a single invisible layer, which is controlled execution. So the secret number 2, design for controlled execution. The GPT must follow a behavior patterns, not just respond. It must follow a series of steps to execute the task the right way, using the right knowledge to get the right outputs, the output at the right level of quality. And by control of execution, I mean doing like the GPT should execute step by step the different sequence of operation, different steps to ensure that they get the right output, the right result. It may sound a bit theoretical, but let me take a small digression here. First and foremost, there is a classical prompt engineering tips, which is telling a model, a large language model, to think step by step or to execute step by step. And something interesting is that the latest models They are basically in the way that the main provider develop large language model. There are two branches. One like the GPT-4, 4.5, they kind of are the original LM, and there are also models like Grok 3 or OpenAI o1 or 3. They are auto-reasoning, which means when you ask them to do something, they will actively conduct a chain of thought, sorry, that's the real name of the technique, and decomposing what it needs to be done in order to achieve the answer to your question. So it's auto-reasoning, and they try to implement that in the newest models, at least one family of models. Same for Claude 3.7, by the way, can do the same. And so that's another example of control execution, like auto-reasoning, defining the different step to ensure that you get the right answer or that you provide the right output. Okay, so you can design this. You don't have to rely on this auto-reasoning model. And I would say it's even better if you design this inside the GPT. Why? Because you control the chain of thought. Why? Because maybe the LLM, like the O1 or O3, they will find their own path of reasoning to get your result, but maybe it's not the optimized one, or it's not the way you want the work to be done. Okay, so it's even better if you control that at the GPT level and forcing that on the model, guiding the steps the model should go to execute, and also forcing format of execution, format of output, and forcing the sequence of operation, and so on. Okay, so you should design your GPT for outcome, not explanation first, and you need to actively design like this. Okay, so think in terms of tasks, not advice, and build for the series of steps that are required so that the user gets the results he wants. Okay, for instance, if I have a GPT to craft VSL, okay, what are the different steps I know you have to go through in order to craft a good VSL? So now, even if you configure your GPT for strong execution flow, it may fail. This is because LLM, large language model, have backed-in flows, and most builders ignore them or don't handle them when they craft GPTs. And so GPTs, large language model in more general way, and it's true for any model. Okay, it's true for DeepSeek. Like you can tell me any models, that's true. Grok will hallucinate. DeepSeek will hallucinate. Every GPT model, OpenAI models will hallucinate. Of course, from one LLM to the other, you may have some variation. Some hallucinate more than the other. And some of the flows, typical flows of the LLM, can be more acute on some model compared to the other. For instance, rambling. For instance, giving you a shitload of text that are simplified or rushing through tasks. These are classical flows associated with LLM. Okay, and unless you put something inside your GPT to stop these tendencies, you will get bad results. Okay, and you can counter that. Okay, if you know these flows, you can identify them, or you can preemptively put some constraints inside the GPT to avoid that, to limit that. Okay, so the secret number 3 is account for LLM limitations when you're crafting GPTs. Quick reminder, the main flows are hallucinations, over-verbosity, simplification, especially simplification if you work with GPTs or with any LLM. When the context windows becomes full or has too much information, it tends to simplify and skip stuff. And that can be detrimental for some very specific tasks. Laziness is also another one. And inaccuracy. Okay, because remember, LLM and GenAI, textual GenAI, this is probabilistic models, and sometimes they just mix things up and lose accuracy. So to avoid that, you can first and foremost compress knowledge, okay, to be more token efficient, to avoid plugging the windows, the context windows, what the model has in mind while doing the task. You can also give better inputs, more specific one, and scope the work of the GPT, of course, for very specific stuff. That's a common practice. You should specialize your GPT. Don't expect the GPT to be able to do lots of different stuff, because if you ask it to do something it doesn't know as a custom knowledge, it will basically go back on ChatGPT mode, and then that's like you will get bad results, or you will need to prompt back and forth prompting, and you'd better know how to prompt to get the result you want. And that's really like boring. Okay. Format locking is also crucial, so that you ensure that the outputs are of the length and the format you want. And finally, a technique I will give you some more insight about in few secret. It's promptlets. Use promptlets for specific tweaking of the output of your custom GPT and changing some deviation you may encounter. Great GPTs aren't built for best case scenario. They're built to anticipate worst case behavior and block it. So this secret is really important. You should account for LM limitations in your design, in your GPT design. Smart sounding GPTs are easy to make. Don't forget that. Like, this technology has been developed so that they give you an answer whatever you ask, and they try to please you. So to avoid this, a GPT that thinks clearly is necessary, and they are built a bit differently. So let me show you that. Most GPTs give random outputs or surface level outputs or output that's slightly changed. Great ones, they will follow a flow to ensure that you have control, and they give you control over the quality of the output. And that's crucial to get good results with GPT. And now you can ask yourself the question, what if your GPT had the quality standards to follow, like a great employee? And so the secret number 4 is engineer process logic inside your GPT. Process by process, I mean required inputs are well-defined. Outputs formats, expected outputs are well-defined. Quality criteria that set what a good output is and what a good execution looks like, they are set inside GPT. And of course, the core of the process, the series of operation, the sequence of steps inside the process to go from the inputs to the outputs needs to be very well defined. And so you can think about it as a AI SOP, standard operating procedure, inside your GPT. And if I give you some example, like to craft many GPTs, I had to, first and foremost, many good GPTs, I had to have a systematic process to craft GPTs. That's my GPT Express Mastery Framework. And it's inside my school community. I teach it inside my school community. I share it. Where is it? It's here, GPT Express Mastery Framework. So that's the one. And there are steps. And one of them is operationalized knowledge, which is turning knowledge that you know are necessary to get good results with a given GPT for a given task. You turn that into a process. And guess what? To do this, I've crafted a custom GPT. So I have a custom GPT that is specialized in turning knowledge into processes to craft custom GPT. But even with perfect logic, the whole system can still fail if the knowledge base is garbage, okay? Remember, the secret number 1, you need to have the expertise, but then you need to transfer the expertise to the custom GPTs. And that's where the knowledge base comes onto the scene. And most custom GPTs are very bad because even if the creator had the knowledge, most likely the knowledge is not packaged in an optimal manner for the custom GPT. So now let me show you the one rule I use to avoid that and why it changed everything about the GPT performance. So first and foremost, I've seen so many people just dumping files, Google Doc, PDF, sometimes ebooks, and say, yeah, that's the knowledge. Now like the GPT can figure it out. But actually, you're not creating an optimized knowledge base here. You're creating a knowledge swamp. Because how can the custom GPT prioritize the right information if you flood it with many tokens, like many words, many texts? Very hard. Even if there are vector database behind, even if you do this, if there are too much information, it will be very hard to for the custom GPT to prioritize. And you can maybe compensate that a bit with a system prompt that is well structured and detailed and really pointing the GPT to the right set of knowledge, but still it's sub-optimized. For sure, it's really like, it's not good. So the one rule is density of information. When you're crafting, and it's true for anything you feed a large language model, including a GPT, it's density of knowledge. You want the most accurate and rich, necessary and sufficient information with as little token words as possible. Okay, so that's the secret number 5. Use dense, accurate knowledge. Okay, so density, accuracy, necessity, is it really useful or not? If it's just nice to have, just remove that. And structure, because large language model and GPTs don't thrive on volume, they thrive on density. Okay, so use this filter. When you want to integrate some knowledge in a custom GPT, is it accurate? Is it structured? Is it absolutely necessary? So create compressed knowledge base, not document them. Don't do this. And that's why if you're crafting your own custom GPTs, or if you're crafting custom GPTs for customers, and actually this is true if you're crafting AI-based systems for any customer, First, one of the first steps should be, okay, let's review the data that we will use inside this AI system or this custom GPT. And let's process this data to structure it and compress it in the most optimal manner so that we can feed them only the necessary and sufficient information, knowledge, data, structure in an optimal manner so that the LLM or whatever AI can exploit that the most effective way without being, once again, overwhelmed by many noisy information. So precision in, power out, weaponize clarity, and avoid information overload. So now you've got the process, the knowledge, and the behavior. Are you ready to build 5 times faster? And I already told you a bit about this, by the way. So I don't write most of my system prompts anymore, and that's true also for my knowledge base, because my GPTs build them for me. And that's the leverage on the leverage. I like this. It's inception. Secret number 6, use GPTs to build GPTs. Okay, I already told you about my GPT Express Mastery framework. And actually in this framework, I use a meta stack of GPTs. I have a GPT to create knowledge, to create optimized knowledge base based on the knowledge report, which can be just me explaining the knowledge I have about the task I want the GPT to do. Or sometimes I do some research, I exploit the knowledge of others that I process myself and then understand and then structure for the GPT. So I have a GPT for creating knowledge. I have a GPT for creating the process. I have a GPT to write the system prompt. I have a GPT to build tactical promptlets, and I will tell you more about this in a few minutes. Most people use GPTs like Wikipedia. Some more advanced users, they use it as assistants so that the GPTs can do some tasks for them. But actually, I use them like engineers. Okay, they help me also structure processes, GPTs, AI systems. If I show you the GPT I'm talking about in my community, in the GPT Express Fractal Toolbox, they are here, okay? So this is the process GPT, operationalizer GPT. This is the knowledge GPT here, knowledge master builder GPT. Here I have the system prompt GPT, okay? Meta prompt GPT, etc. And I have the tactical prompting GPT as well, like tactical prompt library craft. And I will tell you some more information about this in a minute. So even the best designed GPT may fall short sometimes. It happens, especially on complex GPTs, including complex processes, complex tasks, or multitask, even if I advise to specialize GPT, of course. That's not necessary. You shouldn't leave it as a failure. It's the starting point. And what I mean by that is your first GPT draft may be disappointing or suck a bit, but that's fine. Unfortunately, most people, they just stop there. But it's like in software, and that's the secret number 7, you should iterate. Okay, you craft a GPT, you test it, and then you see what's good, what's not so good, how you can improve either the process, either the prompt, either the knowledge, what additional knowledge is required, what additional constraints or details are required in the either knowledge base or system prompt. So there are many ways to improve a GPT. There is one which is way easier, I would say. But before I tell you, let's go through the process. Okay, you build V1 or V0, like the initial prototype, and you test it. Most of the time, I'm crafting GPTs for my customers or for myself. So they test it or I test it. Okay, most of the time I test this first because I want to be safe. And so I test it on my own use cases. Okay, I have some needs like the GPT to craft VSL or the GPT to craft email sequences or the GPT to craft a challenge and all the communication around a challenge. I've used them for myself. Okay, so I can see what I like, what I don't like, where they fall short, and then I can tweak them. Okay. So I test with real inputs, and like small hack here, you can use custom GPTs or you can use ChatGPT to create mock inputs so that you can test your GPT faster. And then I adjust behavior, and there are like in my course, inside my community, I teach how the different strategies to correct and improve a GPT. But here I will show the one I mentioned already, which is tactical prompting. Okay. Sometimes you don't have to change everything about the GPT. You can just build a small library of promptlets, like few small prompts that you will have to use at some points if the model is deviating from what you expect from it. Okay, and that avoids you to have to work again on the system prompt or have to work again on the knowledge base. And sometimes it's good enough. Like you can just compensate some deviation just with this small prompts that are working and will just correct the behavior of the GPT the right way. So that's of course, to do this, I have a GPT to the tactical prompt library GPT, like this one, that helped me craft small prompts to ensure I steer the GPT, the custom GPT, the right way. Okay. So that's very easy, actually. So don't need to rebuild everything. You can patch it, okay? But in any ways, you should iterate and improve your GPT. Like if you want to access custom GPTs, good ones for content creation, but also offer creation, lead magnet creation, email sequence creation, I share them inside my school group, CCGG. If you want the GPT creation frameworks and the GPTs to build other GPTs, same here. You get the access is inside my community. I think the skill of crafting custom GPTs, good ones, is a superpower in AI. It's the ultimate leverage because you can get very good results without any technical complexity because you're leveraging OpenAI work. They work a lot to make that platform user-friendly, very effective, optimizing the user experience and the effectiveness of working with AI. You know, the latest features they have launched, like you can do images, you can use Canvas to edit inside ChatGPT. There are so many stuff that makes using these tools so much effective, and that you lose completely if you use complex AI automation because you don't have this interaction. You don't have these very smart tools to interact, correct, adjust very fast the outputs of AI. So crafting custom GPTs, you got the power of AI for sure, especially if you follow the secrets I've given you, especially if you follow the frameworks I share in my community. And also you're leveraging the power of the platform, OpenAI platform. As a matter of fact, and that's also another advantage, if you know how to craft custom GPTs, you know how to craft Claude projects. So you can leverage Claude if you prefer Claude. You will know how to craft Google Gym. Okay, Gym is the equivalent of custom GPT in Gemini. Okay, the Google AI. Grok, they've just launched Workspace. And that's pretty much the same idea, knowledge-based system prompt. So if you know how to craft custom GPTs, you know how to leverage Workspace inside Grok. You can see how powerful it is. And guess what? If you want to do AI automation, most likely you will use N8N or you will use Make.com. And at some point, you need what? You need to work with an AI assistant using an API call. If you use Assistant API by OpenAI, these are custom GPTs, system prompt plus custom knowledge. So if you enjoyed the stuff, watch the next video, subscribe, and I see you in school or in the next video. Cheers. Bye.